I now call Stephen Kerr to be followed by Alistair Allen. Up to 4 minutes, Mr Kerr.
It's a pleasure to follow Michael Mara, it always is. But on this occasion, I'm sorry, I can't agree with the premise of his argument. Because his starting point is that the overhead line is the single only possible solution. And that is clearly not the case. Now, I want to thank Tess White because she is a doughty champion for her constituents, and I'm delighted that she raised this topic in the Chamber. I will give way because I mentioned Michael Mara.
I appreciate giving way. I did not say that in my speech. What I said was I was convinced of the case with the experts that I have engaged with. I think it's the right case, but I think it is incumbent on governments, both governments, to make their case as to why this is the solution that's being pursued.
Stephen Kerr.
But what I thought I understood you to say was, the member to say, was that the overhead line was the single solution, and the case that needed to be made was for upgrading the grid. No one is arguing about the need for us to invest in the grid. What we're talking about here is this issue and how it impacts the communities of the North East of Scotland. So Scottish ministers... I will, yes.
Finlay Carson.
I really appreciate you giving way, given the constraints in time. Can I just say this is a national problem. I could fill the gallery with constituents from Dumfries and Galloway representing Hands Off Our Hills, Scotland Against Spin, Galloway Against Pylons. We have exactly the same situation where Scottish Power have defaulted to look at the lowest cost consented route. And they don't understand that overhead lines will not be consented because the communities don't want that, and there's a reluctance to look at undergrounding. And that's something that should be one of the first options, not one of the last options.
Stephen Kerr.
To Finlay Carson for his intervention. Ministers need to be aware and beware about the strength of feeling there is in the communities of the North East of Scotland about this issue. And there shouldn't be an attempt to try and confuse this matter in the minds of the public, because the public well understand that it is the Scottish ministers, the SNP government, who are the ultimate planning authority on this matter. I won't be able to give way. I wish I could. It's the case for a longer debate that was well made by Fergus Ewing. And we've seen how effectively the SNP can use the planning system to stop stuff that they don't like. For example, nuclear power, another mistake. And there's no point in the SNP, as they're trying to do, I think, in hiding from this issue. And when SSEN say they can't underground or offshore the lines, and they try to give spurious technical excuses for not giving alternative solutions active consideration, I'm afraid it just doesn't wash. I can see Michael Mara gesticulating, but it just doesn't wash, because we know that undergrounding or offshoring is feasible. Look what's happening in Germany. To protect, I wish I could, look what is happening in Germany to protect their natural environment from mega pylons and overhead lines. They're building a 200-mile-long underground cable route, ANORD it's called, that will transport renewable energy from the north to the south of Germany. So it can be done. And I don't really know anyone in the community action groups, many of whom, as we've said, are here today, who are opposed to clean energy or renewables. We may not all share the enthusiasm of some for the vast wind farms that we now see crowding our landscapes, but we all recognise the need to decarbonise and renew the grid. But the current plan industrialises rural Scotland with mega metal structures and power lines. And we have before us an infrastructure project that's going to stand for between 50 and 100 years. So with an eye on that kind of timescale, why are we rushing ahead with the lowest cost, most intrusive solution because of some artificially imposed deadline? I would love to be able to give way, but I can't. I can understand why anyone would think about sacrificing our country's natural beauty and the well-being of our communities. Scotland is renowned for its magnificence. People come from all over the world to visit the most beautiful country in the world. They spend hundreds of millions of pounds. Are we really prepared to blight our tourist sector? And as MSPs, we should be empowering, not undermining, Scotland's natural beauty. And I wholeheartedly support the aims of the Angus Pylon Action Group and the Stop Teeling Industrialisation Group and commend them for their campaign. I fear for communities, places like Jericho and Douglastown, just next to where my grandparents, Charles and Maggie Kerr, farmed as tenants. I'm not speaking against what needs to be done to address the issues of clean energy and energy security, but I am not willing to stand back and see communities and landscapes sacrificed when other options exist but are not properly being addressed.